All right. Yo, what is up, everybody? Good afternoon. As you can probably tell from the slightly late arrival, we are scrambling to get things going here because it is still 4 o'clock on the West Coast, which means I'm technically still working. And I got to pull up the game real quick. But we are here because there is a Duke exhibition tonight against Fayetteville State. This one being in Cameron, the Broncos of Fayetteville State coming in. It's going to be actually the only exhibition, not counting the quote-unquote secret scrimmage that happened this weekend, which we will talk about at the halftime. Not very good, by the way. We'll see what ends up happening here. It is not Countdown to Craziness as it says above my head. We will find a way to fix that throughout the broadcast at some point eventually. That'll get fixed, but we have a tip off from Cameron here. Welcome to the Duke basketball season. Welcome to John Shire's first game as the Duke head coach, even though this one technically won't count in the column one way or the other. You're 5 on the floor for the Blue Devils here tonight. Tyrese Proctor there with the first one, with the first shot that doesn't go. Ryan Young almost gets the rebound, but doesn't quite bring it down. Then we've got Jeremy Roach, Mark Mitchell, and Filipowski there. So plenty of height. He's basically playing almost two centers with Filipowski there really at the true 5 with Dariq Whitehead and Derek Lively still out. And, Swabby, welcome back. Now being called free? Do we call that free with 2 eyes or fry? How do we want to actually say that one? Welcome back, Swabby. Yes, it's been a long time indeed. And we are back as Fayetteville State actually going to draw first blood here on our Blue Devils' scary preseason for Michigan State yesterday. I was not paying attention to the Michigan State one, but tell me, Fry. Okay, we're going to call it with Fry. And Winvov. Okay, yeah, that's Orlando. That one I remember. And I remember Winvov also. You are not like in a U.S. time zone if you're like way overseas, I believe, if I recall. And Timothy, what is up? And actually, Ryan Young is going to score the first bucket for us in the paint. Nicely done. It is actually 2-2, although I did not see who from Fayetteville State scored. So let's just give 2 points over here for the time being. We'll catch up on the box score at some point later. As always, for the subscribers to the channel, if you're new, jump into Discord. You can get the game over there. A nice rebound there by Mark Mitchell as Roach is going to push this up the floor. Actually, Mitchell's going to try to take this himself. He's going to get it back outside, and that is going to be a shot over the outside by Filipowski, who can hit it from 3. We saw this in his mixtape. We talked about it during Countdown to Craziness. We know that Filipowski has range. He's basically like a center that can hit from the outside. Mark Williams tried to hit some 3s last year. I think he hit 1 all season. And although the box score, I suppose, won't technically count, this is nice to see from Filipowski. What a luxury to have almost a 7-footer who could step it out and also take shots. Love it. Michigan State fell apart, and that's a shot there by Fayetteville State. So that's Marcus Elliott. He's got 3 on that one. Michigan State fell apart first half. First bucket wasn't for Michigan State. Yeah. I don't know what happened with my camera. My camera is going to come back at some point. And Mark Mitchell's actually going to get fouled down low. A nice strong move there. He'll go to the free throw line. I'm not sure where it went, to be honest. And oh, there it is. No? Yes? That really scuffed it. Wow, that really blew things up. That's not what we were going for. Okay, we're gonna leave that there. Oh, I see what's happening. Yeah, that's fun. There's like Streamlabs changed everything up on me, and I was like still at basically doing work stuff up until like the very, very last minute right before stream, so haven't had a chance to like really get everything going. It's okay, it's the exhibition. It's also the exhibition for us. We're gonna get everything we're gonna get everything squared away here. Mark Mitchell actually makes both of the free throw lines. 7-5 Duke as the 3-pointer from Fayetteville State goes wide. And down with the rebound is Ryan Young over to Proctor. We haven't seen much of Proctor today so far, but still in the early going here. Mark Mitchell driving again, getting that foul on number 14. That's Isaiah Ray for the Broncos. Picking up the foul as Reeves No, sorry, Mark Mitchell goes to the free throw line yet again. And Shane, welcome back to the Duke family. Let's get it. I love it. I love to see Duke family back. I mean, it's been too long. It's been too long. And it's also going to be quite an exciting season. Duke going to come in ranked number 7, right? Just top 10, which is pretty good. I'm excited about this. And the game is in Discord if you want it. And so that's what we've got. And so if you want to jump into Discord, you can do that. Otherwise, we're having a fun sort of conversation here on the side. And that's where we got 9-5 after 2 more made free throws by Mark Mitchell. He's made all 4. It's something definitely to keep an eye on, especially when the bigs get to the free throw line, whether they can make them or not. First substitution here for the Blue Devils with Jacob Grandison coming in for Proctor. No, sorry, not for Proctor. Either way, Proctor comes down with that rebound, and he is going to drive this up the court. That's almost a travel, but manages to find Ryan Young down low. Great feed inside to Young. And we think we got a timeout by the Broncos. Yes, we do. 11-5 here, Duke. That was definitely a travel by Proctor. Oh my God. Duke soccer doing really good, undefeated in is that men's or women's? Actually, might we can double check that. That'd be pretty cool. Always good to see the Duke teams that are doing well. Men's, okay, very nice. Men's, they've had, I think, remind me, right? They had a good couple seasons that they've been on the up and up. I knew a couple, I think, walk-ons on the soccer team back when I was in school. Women have UNC game next in the semis. Oh dear. All right, let me see if I can fix this camera. Where is it? Does that work? Let's do that. Let's do that. No? Do I know a game to watch the game other than ACC Network Extra? Yes, you can jump into our Discord channel if you're a subscriber. You can and watch in there, actually. Discord, yes. Chris Hand, welcome back. Another returning regular to the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming back. I don't have no idea. Oh, it's because it's blanked out. There it is. Okay, there I am. Hi. Hi, chat. What's up? What's up, y'all? We're here. We're small today, but that's okay. We'll make it happen on down here. I'm gonna pull up my live stats too as we get situated. We'll get everything working. The Duke Clubhouse is back. Yeah, we need to find like I think like y'all can be like the fans. Obviously, y'all are the Cameron crazies. Like whether you're actually in Cameron or not in Cameron or in this stream chat, it doesn't matter. Everyone's a Cameron crazy, right? I mean, you're a Cameron crazy even if you're not in the stadium. So that's cool. But we can definitely call this like the Duke fan club or the Duke clubhouse. It's it would be very there I'm trying to think the what is there's a room in Cameron and it's called, oh shoot, I'm blanking on the name. It's like off to the side in Cameron, and I want to like the Legends Room or the Legacy Room or something. There's also the Champions Club, which is like where you get like buffet and all you can drink kind of thing. So this could be the Champions Club. But oh, thank you for the sub, Zach Whitmer, Ricky Johnson, Michael Fay 1. Thank you so much for subbing. Welcome to the Cameron Crazies, and welcome in. We'll be here throughout the entire season, and yeah, I hopefully don't have to miss many games at all. Although work, you never know, but we try to make it happen. Devil's Den, we can work with that. I suppose we'll put up a poll at some point, maybe a couple games into the season. Why is Matthias Billings not on the Fayetteville State roster? I was going off of Grandison. Nice I was going off of the what they had from. It might not be completely accurate, to be fair. We can make adjustments as required, which I probably will need to make. So Balcom, Hauser's right, Isaiah Ray. Oh, we got so Elliott's correct, Worthy's right, Crutchfield is correct, Myers is correct. So so actually my roster is correct for now. I'll keep an eye on people that come in or out. Keep that come in and out here. This from Fayetteville State at the free throw line at the moment. This is Cress Worthy, I believe. Yeah, it is. He got hacked by Ryan Young as Young was going up. Oh, we played UNC and lost in women's soccer 3-0 early. So basically, Orlando, what you're saying is that this will be a revenge game, more or less, right? Oh, he's definitely not getting in my rosters, right? Okay, I'm being trolled. I'm being trolled by chat. It's fine. This is a rebound to Filipowski here after the missed free throw by Worthy, as Jeremy Roach bringing this up. I'm very interested to see how Jeremy Roach goes through this season, especially. That was a shot he was making towards the end of last season, especially after does he actually carry over the momentum from the NCAA tournament? And actually, he's the team captain, right? So he's the team captain as what, a junior, and he's got to lead a team of basically all freshmen. Yeah. Discord is froze for you. Oh God, is sound working? I don't know. Did Discord crash or something? I could always try on here. Usually I don't like to stream the Discord on the same computer because it'll slows me down. But as Roach makes both of them actually. Yes, Jeremy Roach makes 2, and it is 15-16 here in the early going of this exhibition game. Worthy. So Jalen Blake's now in the game for Dukes. We got 2 guards. Mitchell's still in here. Filipowski's still in here. He hasn't come out of the game. And Grandison. Kind of an odd lineup, honestly. Sure where the scoring in this lineup is going to come from, except for Mitchell. Oh, great hands by Mitchell, though. And Mitchell's going to go to the floor with it. I love the actual hustle here. Jeremy Roach is going to throw this up ahead to Blake's. Blake's going to take it himself to the rim. Yes! Blake's with a finish with the left hand. Sweet play. We're going to look at that one. 14:30 on the clock. We'll do the replay on that one. That one's nice. Oh, okay. Maybe it's working now. Let's get the pin out here. We can do the replays. Oh, actually, no, I can't do replays on this. It's not on YouTube TV, which really sucks. Chris Worthy is going to get that. He's got 3. Actually, yeah, I can't rewind the stream today. So usually what we like to do is we used to take highlight plays. Filipowski down low gets 2 more. We like to take highlight plays and break them down while we're in commercial break, but I actually cannot rewind this viewer because it is not on my YouTube TV. I say we win by 35 or 40. I wonder if there was actually a betting line. I didn't actually look, and I wasn't sure what this would be. Although I suppose, when you compare it against the caliber of Houston, that exhibition that we played on Saturday, Houston's they're a legit team. Fayetteville State, good team, but is not of the caliber, right, of Division 1, if I'm not mistaken. Usually we play Div 2 teams to start off the season, so this should be but I don't. Central, yeah. So Fayetteville State 21-9 last season. for the CIAA, so they're not actually a Div 1 team. Won the Intercollegiate Athletic Association tournament, which is okay. That's basically in line with what happens. Basically, like Duke always ends up playing like the Div 2 effectively, champion from the previous season in the exhibition. So that's what this is. But like nice block there by Filipowski, by the way. Yeah. Grandison for 3 off in the corner. And we're just pouring it in at this point. Let me see what's wrong with the thing. Maybe it's just not. Oh, wait. Maybe there's just like too many people. Hmm. No, the stream looks good. I just jumped into it actually. It looks good. I just checked it. Yeah, Discord. Discord for all the subs. Welcome in everybody. Happy post Halloween. Happy November 2nd. By the way, if you dressed up as Halloween, let me know what you dressed up as. I did not have a chance to dress up for Halloween, although I suppose people could have their best like Duke. Anybody dress up as a Duke Blue Devil or like an outfit or something? Also, I should probably like Discord link is in the description of the video below. If I could, I'll find it. Actually, I'll just link it here. I'll just create an invite, copy. I gotta sign into my own chat. Why do I have to sign into my own chat? I'll probably get rid of the dog bed there too. All right. At some point, the dog should make an appearance here on stream. Yeah. All right, there you go. There's the Discord. Subscriber Discord. Have fun. The blue where? Oh, the blue hair is over here. Yeah, we saved this for like for special purposes only, though, right? Like it's actually kind of hard to wear. Like it's actually very uncomfortable to wear. But this is the UNC Carolina hair. So it will definitely come back for the big games. It's hard to wear. It's very tight. Yes, the elastic band is very tight. Indeed. All right, I'm going to take a look at the stat. I want to make sure I got my stats right here too. It is 22-8 as we have Duke on top here in this exhibition early. 5 points for Grandison. He's hit a 3. Filipowski's also hit a 3. He's got 5. Ryan Young's got 4. Mark Mitchell's got 4 points as well off of all free throws, actually, oddly enough. And that's where we're at. Time to put the walk-ons in. Yeah. So like in the Houston scrimmage they did this weekend, they played the first half, which was like the full 20 minutes, and then they only played 12 minutes of the second half. But I don't think that I don't think that they cut the exhibitions short here, unless like I think this is actually a full 40-minute game. Either way, as Crutchfield tries to go down low, and that actually is an alley-oop to Joshua Wiggins. It's a pretty flashy-looking play by Fayetteville State. You got to give them credit for that one. It does. They didn't update the score, but it is 22-10. And Roach looking for options here. Grandison over to Filipowski, over to Grandison. No, sorry, over to Roach. High screen there by Filipowski. Roach still looking for options. Is going to the ACC logo there with the right hand. This shot does not go down. And Roach tries to recover the rebound but cannot. Crutchfield up ahead for Fayetteville State, tries to take it himself, blocked off by Filipowski. Good man-to-man defense, so even though this really isn't his man, but Duke seems to be content just about switching everything right now. There's the screen. Yep, Filipowski does switch off. And it's actually going to be a hold against Roach. It's going to be a hold against Roach. Core Zodic 758 with the Go Duke. Welcome in. Welcome in to the stream. And welcome in all of Blue Devil Nation here this afternoon. So this is fun. We finally have Duke basketball back. I don't think Coach K is in the I don't know if Coach K is in the building or not. I don't know if he's pulling a Roy Williams where Roy was just like lurking over in the stands. Joshua Wiggins here gets stripped actually by Mitchell. He's going to go coast to coast. Maybe March Mitchell powers it up and the and one. So we have seen, actually quite impressive. We have seen 3 plays tonight from Mark Mitchell, all in the paint, and we knew this coming into the season because we had been watching his some of his highlights from his college career. He's like super tall, and you'd think, well, he's kind of this like in between. He's not actually like that much of a 3-point shooter. He's going to do all his damage in the paint. He's got that drive there. Then he had 2 interior passes that he collected. He didn't make the shot, but he got the free throws. And now he makes this one. So he's got 7 points off of all paint plays. So Mark Mitchell actually the one who's just like delivering the goods down low in the paint for us right now. Proctor back in the game. And now Filipowski guarding out here. Worthy. Fayetteville State has to reset. Worthy working on Blakes. Does get by him. And they will actually manage to get this to go. Yeah. That was, I believe, Hauser? Either way, Ryan Young. So I almost said Ryan Kelly. Geez, that's from way back in the day. Ryan Young with a nice spin move down low and finished with the right hand. Actually looked like a Ryan Kelly finish, no wonder. Ryan Kelly a little bit more slender than Ryan Young, though. They have similar body build. This is Hauser working on Young. He has to get it back outside. Shot clock winding down here for Fayetteville State. 6 seconds to go, and Worthy's got it. Worthy, that's a charge. That's a charge. Yeah, absolutely. Nice foul. Yeah. Charge. Blake's got the charge call. Love it. How long are Derek and Derek? I think so. Wasn't hold on. One of them almost thought they could be back today, and I thought it was maybe Derek that they're like day to day. I don't think we've seen any like Duke never gives like, oh, they're going to be back in like, this date. They're like the New England Patriots of college basketball injuries. Like they hardly say what's wrong with the player, and then when they do, they like never give a timetable to return. They'll just be like, eventually. Yeah. But the stream, Jeremiah Watson, welcome in. Thank you very much for the sub. The stream isn't working. I'll try to like set up another one. Maybe like maybe there's just like too many people. Let's see. Oh, I'm in the watch party channel actually. That's why. Okay. Maybe so now there's 2 options. Now there should be 2 options for you. So maybe one option wasn't enough or like was just being loaded or something. Yeah. Either way, there's probably like networking issues or something. So we'll give it a try. Either way. Yeah, Jeremiah, welcome in. Yeah, Tariq had surgery. Grandison hits another 3. That one from the left wing after his man falls down. So Grandison with 2 3-point shots. Duke with 30. That's actually a beautiful feed from Roach. Although Grandison was like wide open, so you've got to hit that. Grandison grad transfer here. I think from I want to say Indiana. Basically, that's what he's come here to do. hit open 3-point shots. Things that other former players that shall not be named could not do in the past, and we all would get on their case about it. But that's okay. We won't dwell on the past on that one. So hopefully now Discord has 2 options. You should be able to pick from one or the other. Jalen Blake's not going to run point here for the Blue Devils as Jeremy Roach gets a chance to take a seat. Okay, it was Illinois. Okay, that's right. I think I said Indiana. Yeah, I was wrong. Oh, this is a steal from Blake's. Beautiful. Hands out in the passing lane. He's going to put that up. He's going to draw a foul. Blake's to the free throw line here. Duke in the bonus. Yes, Duke in the bonus. So it'll be, well, I guess, are they going to call this a shooting foul? Kind of a bizarre shooting foul. I applaud the effort of trying to put the shot up in the air, but I wouldn't be surprised if they okay, well, Shane said it, not me. So yeah, Shane said it, not me. Looks like Jalen Blake's will get 2. And it was considered a shooting foul, even though it was like it was a gifted NBA kind of shooting foul where you just like chuck the ball up, and they're like, yeah, technically in the act of shooting. Duke 15-2 run in the last 5 minutes and 40 seconds. It's basically just been Duke ever since the tip, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. This is just going to be a sort of a fun one to watch and see what our guys can do. The defense actually has actually been pretty good. Like, it hasn't been bad. As Fayetteville State just chucks that one out of bounds. Yeah. Canada 3 Shades of Shaq. Yeah, there's a Discord stream, folks, if you need it for the subscribers. Join Discord for the stream. Let's see. Let's check up on the stats here and see what we've got, because I think I'm slightly off on the Fayetteville State side. Quick refresh here as we hit the under 8 timeout. As it turns out, there are no commercials in an exhibition. Who knew? So, okay, Hauser has 4. So let's get this right. Elliott's got 3. Worthy's got 3. Okay, that's it. Those are the 10. Those are the 10 points there for Fayetteville State. Let's see what the other impressive team stats here. Duke shooting 10 of 16. That's 62% from the field. Also, I want to hold on. I'll pull up the Twitter because I had this one bookmarked from the other day. Wait a sec. It doesn't know my account? What? Son of a gun. Ever since Elon took over Twitter, now it doesn't recognize me. There it goes. Elon took over Twitter, lol. Okay. There's that tab. Let's talk about this. My school had to be... And Josh Playa, welcome in. Apparently we have a Fayetteville State fan in chat, which is kind of cool. Everybody is welcome for sure. We respect the fans from all the teams. Just everybody, just make sure to keep it civil. DRez3577, by the way, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Cameron Crazies. It is a bit of a paycheck game, I suppose, is what they call them. Okay. Yeah, like Duke basically like pays teams to come for this exhibition stuff, and I think for some of the early season games too. They do this in football all the time. That's why that was like, what was it? The App State upset, right? There was App State, and then who was the other one? Marshall. Those 2 teams that upset like big teams, football teams early in the season, where they went in. They're like, we got the paycheck and the W. That's why it's like kind of funny when that ends up happening. Okay, I'm going to save this image here. And we're going to talk, this is what we're going to talk about over the next time out, because this one is an interesting one from over the weekend. Yeah, there you go. Okay. App State took down A&M. That was it. Yeah. All right, we're back in action here. Grandison looking for more, but he's going to feed this inside actually to Mark Mitchell. And Mitchell is going to go up with it with the left hand actually and going to score again. We have found Mark Mitchell has gotten to his spot. It is like literally right under the basket. And he's got the footwork and the moves to finish. I want to say, well, he's 2 for 2 because the 2 first ones didn't count. He got fouled and he went to the free throw line and connected. Proctor is back in the game here. So it's Proctor, Roach, Mitchell, Grandison, and Ryan Young are your 5 on the floor for the Blue Devils. Slightly smaller lineup than what we started that had Filipowski out there. But still here, this is the drive from Fayetteville State. Bauckham, and that no good. Rebound down to Ryan Young. And Duke, Roach looking for the screen. He's actually going to swing this out to Mitchell. Mitchell's going to shoot 3. Not really his shot. Doesn't go in, and then Fayetteville State out on the break. That was Marcus Elliott can't get that to go. Mitchell brings it down. Now Grandison thought about 3, but he'll just actually drive. Seniors, like, that is a very nice move by Jacob Grandison. He had potentially an open 3, but took actually the higher percentage play here, finished at the rim with the lay-in and the right hand. Yeah, I suppose like Marcus Elliott on this possession could have closed out. It's probably why Grandison doesn't go and just jack up the 3. But I give him a lot of credit because that's like a pretty veteran move to make. Like, you have what could be a 3, you pass it up, you get take a higher percentage too. That's actually quite nice to see from the veteran grad transfer there. Yeah. Timothy says, I'm praying Dick Vitale is able to call games this. I think he's back, right? He's like, he should be cured, I thought. Michigan lost a game by 3. Joey Baker was their field goal kicker. That's a different Joey Baker, I think, but still hilarious. That is funny. Oh, man. I was going to have a shirt made that said, our horns are better than yours, beat UNC. Get all pissed about it. Well, why, like Blue Devils, like the Blue Devil horns versus the Ram horns? I can see it. That's just funny. I could also see it like I could see it from Texas doing that too, like Longhorns. Ryan Young's going to make a move. He's going to pivot there on his right hip, and he's going to try to put it up. He can't go. He actually will get fouled by Marcus Bauckham. That is actually not sure if it's his first or not. Yeah, there you go, Chris. That's awesome. That, I mean, yeah, the move down low looks pretty good. It's actually such an interesting team because you have these so we've seen significant minutes from Ryan Young. We've seen significant minutes from Grandison. And then you have all these freshmen. Like, if you can get everyone to contribute, this team is actually really scary. And suppose lower expectations, of course, because it's Shire's first season, but I don't know what we're gonna get with this team, but right now it looks pretty good. There, now we're correct. So Ryan Young's got 8. This is a 28-point lead, right? So kick back, relax. We enjoy the exhibition game. Here's the 3 from Fayetteville State. That's not going to go. Weak side rebound to State, and actually Duke fighting for it. They've got 4 bodies going for the rebound. Can't quite bring it down, but you got to reward the hustle there. Last year's team wasn't awful in the rebounding either, but it's not something we've been particularly good at. And I really hope that this year, I'm telling you, man, y'all, we need a vacuum cleaner. We need a rebound vacuum cleaner that is just going to get like, it's going to do like double, or he's going to average like 10 boards a game. Like, I want him to average over 10, like 10 plus boards a game. Is that really so much to ask? Can you buy a bucket? No, you cannot at the moment. That's what happens when teams come into Cameron, unless they're UNC apparently. They can't buy the buckets. Can Duke get onto a NASCAR race? Wait, how would that remember Coastal Carolina? That's a deflection there. So Filipowski with the block. Roach is going to take. This is a wide open three. He's got to hit it. Nope. Great rebound actually by Blakes, and what a better find actually. That's Ryan Young. So that's a spectacular. Great awareness there. This is defense turning it off. This is one of the plays that we would definitely analyze going back. Actually, Young was fouled technically by number 5, Daryl Mayers. He got swiped on the arm, but not called. I suppose at this point it doesn't really matter, but a bit of a blown call. Here's a 3-point shot by State. Actually, that one goes down. And they got that one. Marcus Elliott. So there's some points for State. Jeremy Roach over to Blake's. This 2-guard lineup is actually rather interesting. We seem like it's either Roach and Proctor or Roach or Blake's, and then this is wide open down low for Ryan Young, who actually manages some pretty good footwork there. Doesn't travel, but gives up the ball. It can't quite corral it. Actually, no, we're playing 3 guards at the moment. Because it's Proctor, Blake's, and Roach. So it's 3 guards and the 2 bigs. Interesting look. It does make you wonder how many of these guys will still have minutes after Whitehead and Lively come back. Like, how much of this is like as a result of us like not having the full roster out here. But either way, still really good minutes. I mean, Ryan Young's put up double digits. Grandison's put up double digits. Roach, I thought, had a great opportunity for Young there, but he gets it out to Jalen Blakes, who goes in for 3, and that one sinks it. Yes. And I guess there was a technical foul that will get an extra shot. All right, well, we'll take it. That's the link to the Discord if you need the game. There you go. If you can't buy a bucket, just buy the. If you can't buy a bucket, buy the refs. I actually like that, Shane. Ancient Carolina proverb. Once told, back in the day. Okay, Baucom's got 3. Hauser's 4. Okay, I was missing points there. No, that's fouls. Baucom's 3. Hauser's 4. Marcus Elliott's got 3. Okay, 13. Wait a sec. 4, 2. Isaiah Ray's got 2. All right, that's it. 43-15 is where we're at so far today. Oh, it's not. Interesting. The one I've got definitely is. I'm like sort of watching it here. I'm like sort of watching myself stream. I should probably mute myself on Discord too. That would make things way easier, actually. You don't have to hear me twice. Yeah, if the Discord isn't working, I don't know if I have another solution. That's our for our subs. Darren Spencer and Earth to Craig, thank you very much for joining the party here, and thank you very much for the subs. So appreciated. Guys, you are amazing. Like, we had such an awesome season. Like, when I think back, like last season was freaking amazing for the entire community here. We had a ton of fun, and we got to cap off the whole thing with a Final Four run, which was loads and loads of fun. We were gonna do like the national title game, but of course it's like not really. You don't really want to stream the national title when you're not in it, so we got slightly denied on that one. But that was fun. I'm really looking forward to this season. 3:02 left here in the game, or no, sorry, in the first half. Fayetteville State still has to stay for another 20 minutes. I don't know if there's. I doubt there's a mercy rule applied to scrimmages, and honestly, I can't remember if people actually have to pay for these tickets. I doubt they're free, but I doubt they're expensive either. There's like the upper bowl is like completely empty. We got a free throw there by Worthy. I watched the Duke Miami stream from 2 years ago. Yeah, man, we've come a long way, and it's been really fun. I'm so glad that people we get to rally about Duke. We get to talk about Duke because we all love it. And the passion from everybody in chat is like so real. So that's like the really fun part about this. Is Worthy over to Hauser rather, and this looks like an easy 2 lay-in, and it does. Actually, some nice piece of offense there by Fayetteville State. That's probably the first real defensive lapse from Duke so far this afternoon. We've pretty much locked it down, man-to-man here. Mitchell looking for options, looking to drive, jab step over. No, this one's over to Blake's. Actually, Jaden Shute in the game. The sharpshooter here. See if he can get an opportunity for some three-point shots. Actually, Mitchell with the lefty. What a tough shot. And that's going to go. Yo, that lefty stroke there. You gotta love the follow through. He's got a nice touch. He has missed. Okay, he's 3 of 11. I thought he hadn't missed there. Grandison actually gonna pick up a foul. His man blew by him, and he basically a hip check there. It's actually gonna be an and one. Marcus Elliott gonna pick up those 2 points, 45-20 here. As Fayetteville State now seems to have some sort of rhythm, trying to get something going here before we go into halftime. Timothy, this is season 21 of Duke basketball for him. That's kind of nuts, actually. 14th year. Let me think. Actually, yeah. I think I'm at 14 too. That shot doesn't work. It started in 2008. Well, there you go. So we're on the same. That's well, maybe then it's 15 because technically I got admitted to Duke in 17 and then went as a freshman in the fall of 18. So where I'm like right there. Yeah. It's actually 1:53 left here on the clock in the first. I'll actually put the time up here in the second half. Since 2001. Nice. This is basically the Jay Williams year, right? From back there. Shoot over to Mitchell. And Mitchell looking. So this is some ISO play here for Mitchell on the right-hand side. Duke's just clearing it out entirely for Mitchell. They're going to let him go to work. And he's almost going to get it. Gets his own rebound in the putback. Mark Mitchell. Okay. Like, we knew this kid was good coming in, but, like, I'm not sure, like, we expected this, but he's making the most out of his opportunities with Lively and Whitehead out. So I kind of like it. So actually no, Duke gonna take a quick timeout. Let me come back and I'm gonna find my notes here on. Let's see. I had some notes on Mitchell here because he's been playing really well. Let me just go back and look back at my notes originally. There you go, Timothy. See, I'm older than you are, but you've just been watching Duke basketball for longer. There's the difference. Where is my Mark Mitchell notes? Okay, yeah. So I yeah, okay, 6'8", 205 pounds, small forward, Sunrise Christian, Wichita, Kansas. I mean, I like it. He's the so 6'8", so the thing was like he's kind of between, right. So Lively at 7'1", Whitehead at 6'6". Mitchell's like somewhere in the middle. I wasn't quite sure where he was going to fall in the rotation, but he's definitely carving out a piece for himself here. Let's see. Mitchell's going to set a high screen here for Roach. Yeah, Roach directing traffic there, and there's the roll. But Roach doesn't pass him the ball. Roach going to try to take himself. They actually loses it. It's a turnover here by Roach in the late going. Coast to coast? No. Proctor tries to bounce it outside, but it falls into the hands of Bauckham. And Bauckham's going to try to go around Proctor, but Proctor blocks it. Nice, staying vertical. Proctor's had a actually he's got a goose egg at the moment. He's got 0 points, but he's been playing very well defensively there on that last possession, basically preventing the shot twice. Yeah, so now they're formally pointing out that it was the first turnover, but we were all over that one, so he never missed any games. Oh yeah, the Orlando's the World Series is right. I think Philly's what up 2-1, 2-0 on the Astros. So apparently Seattle was in that thing for a while, but yeah, not it didn't last. Let's see, we got the. Sorry, I got to move that out. And Proctor's going to nail it as we have to moderate here. Let's do that. Yep. There we go. Actually, yeah, Proctor will nail the three. So, just as I said, he was being quiet in this first half. He nails the three-point shot to finish it. There, the Jack White fan club is back because you can be because of Tyrese Proctor. Okay, so that is going to be. So we got 15 minutes for halftime. We have kicked the bots out. They show up every stream you're in. It's because we're having a good time, man. The bots always show up when we're having a good time. That just is that is the unfortunate fact of life. Jeremiah saying, if we're talking fans of Duke basketball, fans since 1999, Jay Will's freshman season. Jeremiah, again, welcome in. Love having you. We love the different perspectives too, because I'm not old enough to remember things like from back in the day, and I did not. To be fair, I did not grow up in a college basketball household, so it wasn't. We actually didn't watch many sports growing up. There was some football, but it wasn't until I got into high school and then later in college where I was kind of watching my own sports stuff. So I'm a bit late to the party in that respect. Although I have plenty of Duke friends, Duke alums who have long Duke lineages back from the 70s. So it's always fun to get their perspectives. So that's what YouTube's for. Go back in time. True. Oh, it looks like we got some skip frames. Okay. Just I wouldn't be surprised if they did get rid of the Final Four games and stuff. They're they're pretty protective of that kind of thing, which is unfortunate for us because it ruins the fun, but that is the reality of life. So, all right, let's take a look at the stats here, folks. Actually, let's do this one first. Let's look at the game from the other day. All right, let's look at, since there's actually no commercials, let's look at the game from the other day. Let's zoom in. Zoom it. Can I zoom in? I can. Okay. So this was the box score. Keep zooming in. Okay. This was the box score from the game the other night. Houston, pretty good team out of the American Athletic Conference. Pretty sure. Yeah, that's where they end up. Um, it didn't quite work out in our favor here. This game was not televised, by the way. So there was really no way to like watch it remotely unless I suppose you were there. It consisted of one full half of basketball. So the first half, like these stats are from a full 20 minutes of basketball. These stats down here, crap. Why is it not letting me draw? I don't know why it's not letting me draw. That's weird. Anyway, these stats over here are from 12 minutes of basketball. They did not play out. They did not play out the sort of the entirety of the game. But yeah, like the end result didn't quite end up like the way we thought, like 61 to 50. Although to be fair, there were a lot of like high sort of ranked teams that did like these sort of secret exhibition games that it didn't turn out well for them. Like I'm pretty sure the Gonzaga was also one that lost its similar like exhibition type game, right? And then there was another high profile team. I can't remember who it was. I was reading from this weekend. In any case, though, throughout the like this, for all intents and purposes, could be like an NCAA tournament game, right? Like you see at they hope they can give the motivation to the Green Bay Packers for winning games. I think your quarterback is a little checked out. I think that's the problem, buddy. And the quarterback is a little checked out in Green Bay. But we lost in the rebounding margin. This gets to my point earlier. That we really need someone who's just gonna like clean up the boards. And because this is not good. This like you're -6 on the boards. Like okay, granted, like you don't have Whitehead, like right? It's like what? It's like 7-1. So he's gonna help you out tremendously there, right? So no, sorry, you don't have Lively rather 7-1, and then you don't have Whitehead. It's like 6-6. Like all right, that's gonna help, but like still, you'd think that this team could put it together here. The backcourt also slightly concerning. Okay, this 3 of 13 is like, and this 1 of 5, and this 1 of 3. Okay, we'll get to the 3 of 10 in a second, but like the guards combined for a grand total of 5 for 21, which is like 24%. So that's not good. And like this part is even more concerning. 3-point shooting, 2 of 17. That's definitely not a stat line you want there either. 2 of 17. It's like 12%. It like kind of reminds me of like one of the games from late last year, or like just like some of our losses where just like the 3-point shot was just like a total dud and it just like didn't work. But yeah, 18 to 27, 18 to 25. Like, look, at least we shot a lot of free throws. Technically, we made more free throws than they took. Like, 18 to 25 isn't great, but it's not horrible. 72%. Like, you'd wish you were a little better than that, honestly. Like, Mark Mitchell had a good game, though. He's 3 of 4, 1 of 1 from 3. And you see that being repeated tonight, right? Like, if we look at the stats, if we look at the stats for tonight, and so far, let's just shift over here as we get. Yep, there we go. Zoom this guy in here. It's like Mark Mitchell's having a similar performance. He's got 9 points so far on 2 of 3 shooting, and he's perfect from the free throw line. Duke actually perfect from the free throw line, like in general. 5, 7, 9, 11 of 11, which is pretty good. on this one. So let's go back to the image there for a second. Okay. Personal fouls 15. Okay, so like this is also slightly interesting. I didn't notice this at first. Like Jeremy Roach technically fouls out of this game. I'm not sure how that happens. Like, how do you foul out of a game that isn't actually a full-length game? Like this game is 32 minutes long and he fouls out with 5 fouls. Like I guess Shire just didn't care and was just like, go ahead and play. Could be. But also not terribly warm and fuzzy. This isn't giving me warm and fuzzies here for your starting guard to foul out of a game. But like Ryan Young and Mark Mitchell here is 14, 12, Roach with 10. I don't know. The defense seemed like maybe it wasn't the best. 23 of 43 gives them 53, 54% shooting. Duke's shooting, however, 36%. Like the shooting disparity is just really gross. And they're like 3 of 9 from 3. So yeah, the defense might not have been there on this particular day. I don't know. That's kind of my takeaways here. Like the backcourt just had an off day, which today they seem to be okay. This one seems to be in decent shape right now. Yeah, you got Blake's with 7, Roach with 2, Proctor with 3. Some point, one of these guys is going to have a night. 5 steals, so that's okay. Like Houston turned the ball over more. So it's 10 turnovers to our 8. 2 blocks, which was probably Ryan Young actually. Yeah, and then this one's kind of interesting. So Filipowski got center 3 of 10. I wonder how much of this was inability to get him the ball in a position where he could like easily score versus him just like missing shots or being blocked or being disrupted, or simply being like out physicaled, which isn't really a word, but like you get the point. I mean, he's a freshman. He's pretty built, but he's got a ways to go. So I'm not going to read that much more into the stats from the other day, but kind of interesting to see how things play out, I think, throughout the season. It's kind of an early litmus test to see. I think this one's a slightly better sort of test to see what the team's at and where we're going with this. We just categorize this here. Yeah, Blake's here with 7 points, which, I mean, he barely played at all last year. It's nice to see him getting some play time and into the box score here. Roach again shooting 0 for 3 though. Little concerning. I suppose but he's got 5 assists. I was about to say, I suppose as long as Roach is like juicing on the assist numbers, then his own point production may not be as important. However, during the NCAA tournament run, he was scoring double figures basically in every game. I think there was maybe one game where he scored 8 points, but he was averaging double figures. So his points and his aggressiveness were very important. It was like a double figure point scorer that you wouldn't have even thought was scoring a double figures because you were like, well, they were kind of quiet points. Then Young with 10, Grandison with 10. So you got the 2 grad transfers basically leading the way here. Something about my points isn't quite right. Why, Scott? So yeah, okay. No, it was out of date. Mark Mitchell with 13, Ryan Young with 10, Grandison with 10, Proctor Roach Blake's, and Filipowski's got 5. Yes, okay. So that's all set. And then let's make sure we're squared away here. 3, 5, 6. Let's see, not 67. That would not be good. Hauser's got 2. Yep. All right, so we're good there. 2. That's 2. 1, 1. And 1 and 1. Okay, so 8 there, 2 there. Perfect. I just checked good majority of the games is still on there, even the bigger games to whoever it was. Oh, nice. I'm listening to the stream on my phone, Duke Game on TV, and AEW Dynamite on my laptop while eating spaghetti. Yo, like, so Keon's got it right. Like, let's face it, people, there's just not enough hours in the day to get everything done. So I empathize with that. It's like when you're on a work call, you're on the work call, you're answering the email, you're like, trying to eat your breakfast at the same time and get everything done. So, but yeah, folks didn't really answer my question of what they dressed up for at Halloween. I want to know, if you dressed up for Halloween, did you go as a Duke themed costume? And if so, what was it? And I don't suppose anybody like tried to be very I'd be kind of curious if somebody tried to like go out as like a scary UNC fan or something. Anybody try to get really creative with one of our I suppose an interesting one would be a Duke Blue Devil with a pitchfork with a ram like speared on said pitchfork, which could be very creative actually. But there you go, Orlando. Well, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you for the next game. Next game is going to be, I want to say it's next Friday. Actually, I dressed up as Johnny Dawkins. Did you actually? That's kind of funny. There you go. So they do have a Duke theme. Oh no, it's Monday actually. What? Okay, I was Monday at 7 p.m. That's amazing. All right, so clear my Monday calendar because here we go. This is the first official game here against Jacksonville, then USC Upstate, and then Kansas. This is this Tuesday game. So interesting tidbit, I suppose. Bill Self is actually suspended by the University of Kansas. I haven't looked into it very much, but he is suspended for the first 4 games of the season, so he will not coach this game, which is kind of odd. I suppose it would have been interesting to see John Shire go up against Bill Self. Maybe not as interesting as Coach K go up against Bill Self, but like I still would have wanted to see that one. Now I guess it's 2 like young blood coaches going up against each other, taking their blue chip sort of programs into this like Champions Classic. Anyway, when I was 4, I was a Duke player, number 5. There you go. Nice. So you've dressed up as a Duke player before. Excellent. I love it. And the King of Kampala with the let's go. Yes. Excellent. So then Delaware Bellarmine. I'm trying to think. Okay, and then like this Phil Knight Legacy one is actually pretty good. This Oregon State should be. This is like over Thanksgiving. Florida Xavier. Ohio State, by the way, this is revenge game, ladies and gentlemen. This is 100% revenge game. This one is in Durham. This is going to be big. This is the 30th of November. I may or may not be able to do this one. I have to check. But I think we are back either way into the action here. So yes, jump into Discord if you need the game, because that's almost a travel there by State. This shot goes up, and it's Filipowski that brings down the rebound. Easy enough there as Duke avoids any Fayetteville State points on the first possession. Duke back in action now, bringing the offense to the front of the Duke bench. Filipowski's going to go for 3. That shot no good, actually. Short rebound there out to Isaiah Ray. And State's pushing this up the court and almost traveled with it, although corralled by Hauser. And he's going to go up and over Ryan Young. Young tries to bring it down, can't get it. State corrals, and then Hauser once again from the free throw line. Hauser going to go, that's off the back rim. Good box out there by Young. Rebound down to Duke, and Roach is out with it. Ryan Young looking for the ball, but it's just going to be swung around the outside. It's now Proctor looking for Mitchell. There's the entry pass, and they clear out the entire left side for Mitchell and just let the man go to work. Mitchell with 15. Yo, so we were like these ISO plays. These ISO plays are obviously a staple of the Duke offense. For folks that have been here with the channel for like multiple years, we talk about these almost every game. Last year, this was the Banchero play where you just isolate the guy on the left or the right wing and you just let him go to work. You clear out basically the entire third of the court for him and he just goes one-on-one because you basically say, I'm better than you and I can beat you. Last year was Banchero. Right now they're establishing this play with Mitchell and it's actually looking pretty good. And oh my gosh, Filipowski tries to go through a double team there and almost finishes, but leaves it just short. Not quite. Yes, Mark Mitchell over there from Wichita, Kansas. I got this playing while watching baseball. I've got the baseball muted, just praying the Phillies beat the cheaters. Oh my gosh, the Houston Astros. That was the whole thing with like people wanting the Yankees to win, right? They wanted the Yankees to beat the cheaters. I don't know if anybody actually like, was the only time that anybody ever roots for the Yankees if you're not a Yankees fan when they were playing against the Astros. I used to be a big Yankees fan back in the day, playing Little League. Been to Yankee Stadium there multiple times. There's another turnover actually, so well, Fayetteville State turns it over, but happened a little while ago, I suppose. As Duke gathers it back, and we are getting ready to go. This is actually not blue. That's Duke. That's still from my countdown to craziness. Yeah, Timothy, I feel it, man. Proctor is actually going to go try to split two defenders here. He is going to be fouled. So a little hip check there by Bockham. That's his third. First foul for Fayetteville State of the second half. Oh, look, the Elmo, the Cookie Monster, rather, is back. Actually, the Cookie Monster is chilling in the grad section. Did the Cookie Monster, like Cameron Crazy Person, graduate and then become a grad student? Because that would be hilarious. You kind of just move sections from one Cameron Crazy section to the other. Good attempted cut by Filipowski to try to get to the rim here from this out of bounds, but Duke doesn't take it. They just reset. There's the high screen from Young. Tries to get this pick and roll set up, but can't. Proctor, step back J from the wing. Doesn't go either. And that's going to be out of bounds on Duke. We'll go to Fayetteville State. Jeremiah Senna wanted the Yankees to win because he grew up down the street from the stadium. There you go. A New York fan. Or from that area. Very nice. Very nice. I grew up in Connecticut. It's not far. But this Bockham here for three, that is short. Rebound down to Mitchell. Yes, Duke is going to go out with it and start running. Ryan Young trying to establish post position, but there's no entry pass here. Filipowski's going to go one-on-one. Takes one dribble inside the three-point line, puts that shot up, and it doesn't go. So maybe that's why Filipowski was 3 of 10 on Saturday, because he was taking shots like that. And charge? Yes, actually. Offensive foul. Jeremy Roach draws the charge here. And I think they called him for the charge because he extended the elbow, but Roach was... I don't know. That's a little... it's a bit of a gift. Who would have guessed the Giants and the Jets would be the best two teams in football? Well, isn't Zach Wilson kind of, charged up coming into this season, so to speak? After his off-season antics? But then, is Danny Dimes still QBing the Giants, right? Nice shot there by Jeremy Roach, which to openly admit, I did not think Daniel Jones was a very good quarterback at Duke. And I'm not sure he's a very good NFL quarterback either. But I guess they're winning, so I have not had a chance to follow the football very closely, but. Not as closely as I'd like. I used to spend like all the Sundays watching Red Zone, but because of this new pup here, I haven't had an opportunity to do so. As we have hit the under 16 timeout, 54-22. So kind of a slow start to the second half, honestly. Duke only adding 4 points. Fayetteville State adding nothing, adding 2. Yeah. Let's see if the Riley's the man now. Let's see if the pup wants to make an appearance. Hey, bud, come here. Hey, come here. Sleepyhead. Ugh. Oh my gosh. You've gotten heavy. Hold on. He is not quite cooperating. Ugh. He's like half asleep. There he is. Oh my god. There's the guy, little guy. Not so little anymore, actually. He's actually kind of starting to be heavy. There you go, bud. All right, Duke Nation. Everybody, this is Ash. He's our new mascot. We're gonna have to get him like Blue Devil like shirt and jersey and everything for the season. But he is joining me here. I suppose not just for this season, but hopefully for many seasons after this. Gonna be enjoying. There, say hi. There you go. What's up, pup? He is an Aussie Labradoodle, and he's going to be the biggest Duke fan, or of the biggest dog Duke fan ever, like to ever exist. So we will deck him out with. I suppose I could have dressed him up as a Blue Devil for Halloween. That probably would have been pretty good. But I need to get my act together a bit more for to plan that one out. But yeah, he's like what, probably like 25 pounds now. He's getting up there. Good boy. So far, he has taken a liking to both Duke basketball and F1. Who would have thought? How appropriate. You get the dog that just happens to like two sports that you're also invested in. There you go. All right, getting ready to come out of the timeout here. 16 minutes to go here in this exhibition. Duke by 32 here in this second half in this exhibition game on to kick off here this 2022 season. Fayetteville is actually Fayetteville State going to inbound here. Isaiah Ray with Worthy, Elliott Bauckham, and Daryl Mayers in the game here for State. For your Blue Devils, it's Grandison, Roach, Mitchell, Young, and Proctor are your five on the floor. This three-point shot here by Worthy is no good, and Duke hustling for the rebound, but it just goes out of bounds. So I have been tangentially keeping up with the Duke football, Timothy, and yes, I was aware that the game against BC this weekend was for bowl eligibility. So I knew it. I'd read enough articles to know that one, which is actually pretty big. Like I'd love to see Duke back in a bowl game finally, which means this whole Mark Elko thing might actually pay off. And Ryan Young with the up and under, what a beautiful play there by Young, by the way. He just goes up and underneath the basket. Great finish there with the left hand. But yes, I am excited to see Duke football and again, right? Like we had talked about a couple of weeks ago that like two of those L's are like final possession kind of L's that like could have very easily put two more like wins in the two more of those games in the win column, which would have made you bowl eligible already. And Grandison going to go for three, and he's going to drill that. That's his third three-point shot today. He's been hitting from the outside. So that's definitely, I thought Shoot was going to come in here and kind of establish himself as the three-point threat. But it looks like Grandison actually going to be the one to take the majority of the minutes, going with the veteran player. And we've only seen Shoot sparingly in this game. He hasn't had a real opportunity yet so far. This is good defense here by Duke, as it's 3 seconds for State to even get a shot off. They're going to put up a wild shot. That's in and out, and that goes down to Young. And the Duke defense holding in very strong here in the second half. And Roach is trying to actually gets fouled. Whee! I think we need to lower the camera to be in pup range. Rough, rough. There we go. Duke back in action here, and it's Grandison looking for an opportunity. He's going to put this one up nice with the right hand. Grandison now up to 15. He's kind of making these opportunities for himself, too. How many does Grandison have? He has 15 right now. Yep. He's got 15, and Mark Mitchell also has 15. Those two are leading the Blue Devils in scoring at the moment. 3 of Grandison's, so 3 3-point shots, so 9 out of the 15 coming from beyond the arc. Yep. And Shoot actually going to come, just as we were talking about him, going to come back into the game, and he will sub in for Grandison. Yes, so it definitely looks like this. It's like this Grandison or Shoot playing like this, like shooting guard 3 position. That's like you have the two. You have the shooting guard, you got your point guard, and then we have Grandison or Shoot. Lots of options here for Shire, because right now we're playing a bit smaller. Because it's Roach, Blake's, Shoot, Filipowski, and I think wait, who else do we have? Oh, actually, it's Kristen Reeves in the game, actually getting some play time here. And this one's going to go for a 3 from the corner there by State. That doesn't go in. Rebound to Filipowski. He's going to clear it to Roach, who's going to go up ahead to Blake's. Blake's asking for a high screen here from Reeves. Does get it. And the pass to Reeves, no good. Duke ends up turning that over. Reeves actually played pretty well in the scrimmage and countdown. He had 11 points. I'm kind of flipping back and forth between the box scores there. He had 11 points in that countdown to craziness scrimmage. Reeves actually a 4-star recruit coming into the season, so maybe not as like high up on the radar per se as some of the other newcomers, but can definitely play. See here, 3 Duke players scrapping for possession here on the floor. Love the energy. Yeah, I have 15 for no, I have 12 for Young. And I have 15 for Mitchell. Which I believe is right. I can double check that though. I'd have to refresh that. Yeah, 15 for Mitchell, 15 for Grandison, 12 for Young, which is correct. Yep. Is something? Oh, so this is. I see what you're saying. Something's off here. I see what you're saying. Hold on. I'll fix it. This is Proctor there getting. Sorry, I have to switch up my formulas. Why does it? What? Something is something slightly off. Let me see what I can fix here. Because Filipowski's right, that one's right, that one's right. Mark Mitchell's. Oh, I see. Now? Now it's right. The names were wrong. Ah, the names were wrong. I got it. Yo, thank you, chat. Thank you. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. 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 I don't know how to make that go away. Okay. All right. Now we're good. Now we're good. Now we're good. Thank you, Swagger Jack. Working out the technical difficulties here on exhibition night. We got to make sure everything's. We got to test everything just to make sure we get things back going. So make sure you mark your calendars for Monday night. I'm gonna mark myself busy for work on Monday, at least for the 2 hours of actual game time here. Man, Lonzo saying, man, is it good to have Duke basketball back? Love the 100 and the sunglasses. Yes, indeed. It just feels like, I don't know, it feels like fall again. It feels right to have Duke basketball back. I feel whole again and complete. It gives me purpose. Of course, that's what the dog would love to hear. Can't wait till Rick and Lively come back. We're going to be a force to be right. I think so. And I actually think it's kind of one of those things that, like, your stars are out and it causes other people to step up and have to play minutes, have to actually get game time. Um, and at some point in the season, you might need them because, like, injuries do happen. Like, I don't know, like last season was actually a bit of an aberration, to be fair. Like, we dodged a lot of injuries. Like, God forbid Paolo Banchero got injured last year. Like, it would have been over in a hurry. Like, especially early in the season, like, that would have gone south horribly. Like, it's also like Jeremy Roach could have been like injured at some point, but like wasn't, and he played fantastic at the end of the season. Like, we really like dodged the injury bug last year as like Coach K's final year. I'm just going back to like some of the like some of the to pull up the rest, like, yeah, Keels was injured for like a bit of the season, but like, and then AJ Griffin was injured at the start but then came back, and like he was like consistently healthy throughout the remainder of the season. Like, Mark Williams never got seriously injured and like was always like an anchoring, like, for us as a big man. Like, last year was actually a really good year in terms of like Duke injuries, especially like given out like many foot problems we've had. It's a beautiful blow by Proctor, who finishes with the right hand, just beats his man off the dribble like too easy. This point guard is like about 18 years old, played on the under 8 team and the 18 team down in Australia. He's been making a name for himself. Reclassified, came to Duke early. There's Shoot with a block, and he brings that one down. Paolo going for Rook of the Year, no doubt. I mean, yeah. And Filipowski is going to go in and he's going to nail it. There's the dunk. He's happy about that one. We get some head taps too. It's going to be Filipowski going to be our man for that. Goes from baseline to rim. That is a strong move by Filipowski. I mean, is like Banchero is like the front runner for Rookie of the Year right now, right? The way he's been playing, like, what, his first 5 games he was averaging above 20 points. Like, it's like nobody's done that. But it's been playing phenomenally well. Yeah, so Lonzo's saying it's allowing Mitchell to be the #1 scoring option right now, and it's like kind of phenomenal for Mitchell. Let's see what he's got right now. Mark Mitchell, yeah, he's got like 15. He's been doing all his damage in the paint too. Like, he's been playing his game. He's been getting to his spot, getting a shot, confidently going up with the ball. He's like not backing down. This is a good rotation there by Filipowski. Actually, great block. He tries to block it, but he stays vertical, so he can't be called for a foul. That's actually a really nice play by Filipowski, even though the shot still goes in. Good defensive intent. It's a willing blocker. Grandison thought about the three and going to dish it off to Filipowski, but he's actually going to travel. Yeah. Mista Amazing saying, God, I missed last year's team already. Wish they could have won it all. Hate UNC even more. I feel like we got robbed. We got robbed of like the storybook. Not even the storybook. It's like literally like the Hollywood ending. Like, it's like literally like Coach K riding off into the sunset with a national title, or like coming back to Cameron as he hangs a banner at the first game of the season. Like, we've all been denied what should have been. I think we all agree. Blake's trying to go up with it. He'll get it to drop. Actually, it's an and one for Blake's as Duke has 69. As a Duke fan, it's like, yeah, Paolo represent, but then also as a Duke fan, it leaves you kind of salty. He could have been on. No, I mean Paolo was a one and done like the entire time, for sure. Paolo was a one and done the entire time. Yeah, I mean as much as like the Roach Fountain foul was robbery. Uh, I no. Now that you mention, so I had forgotten about that, but now I have like now I think back and like I remember like doing the stream and like at a moment late in the UNC game having this incredibly visceral reaction to this like foul late in the game, which I guess like from this phantom foul, I had totally like blocked it out of my memory. Maybe because it was so horrifying. But I think it's like it's the one with like what like 4 minutes left or something. It's like super late, right? I can't even like quite recall, but I do think sort of recall what you're getting at, even though the specifics are a bit hazy. Good defense here by Grandison above the 3-point line. Actually, 4 seconds to shoot for State. They're gonna have to jack up a long three, and they do. And actually, it goes. Worthy gets that one. That's 13. Yeah, yeah, it was late. Yeah. Swagger Jacker, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to, well, we're not even sure what we're calling it, but welcome to the Cameron Crazies. Not Keels this for sure. Yeah, Keels. So yeah, Keels right was the one. So was the one that was like we were sort of unsure, and like he didn't end up getting drafted, so we were all kind of like, well, yep, you should have probably stayed. And like it was the he was also the one. It was just unfortunate, right? Because he probably has people in his ear that are like, yeah, you can definitely be drafted into the NBA, and like you can go. And then like people had him like up there in their mock drafts. They were like towards the end of their first round or whatever, and then it just like doesn't work out, and you're like, ooh, yeah, that was not good. But like, because he could have done what like Jeremy Roach did, right? Like, and to be fair, I think Trevor Keels' season was like whole season was probably a bit better than Jeremy Roach's whole season. Like Roach's season really was like this, you know, the NCAA tournament and like this late season surge. But like, so like, there's no way that Roach was ever gonna go. But yeah, I mean, I don't know where Keels. We talked, I think, for a long time that like Keels leaving left Duke without like a true two guard. But to be frank, I'm not sure that like I don't know where exactly he would have fit on this team. Like I'm sure he could take minutes from people. Like maybe you didn't have to go out and get Grandison or something, so that maybe that transfer doesn't happen, right? Because he kind of takes that like shooting guard position as Roach drills the three here from the outside, and he's got 7. Yeah. Yeah, he signed with their G League team. Yeah, exactly. So like, I thought how it happened was that he went in the second round, but then like he didn't actually get the contract or something like that because it's not guaranteed unless you're up there. We gave up 125 boards to Baycott. Yeah, well, we need our own Baycott. Filipowski's going to be our own Baycott this season. Yeah, he definitely should have stayed. Yeah. And of course, like hindsight is 2020, right? So like now we all know, like based on what happened, like yeah, he should have stayed. But I mean, hey, Quinn Cook was on the G League team too, and he's got a ring. He actually think he has more than one. So Keon saying I like Grandison to replace Keels. Yeah, I mean Grandison's been playing well. He's got 15 today. 3 of those are from 3-point land. Plus he's a grad transfer, so like he's been playing college basketball. But yeah. What is okay? My dog is like eating my chair. Blake's minutes would have been his. There. That's a good call out, actually. I think Jeremiah's got it right. Blake's minutes would have been Keels. Yeah. Okay. That could be it. Yep. That's actually a good call out. I wasn't thinking that way, but yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see it. I can definitely see it. Let me just make sure I got all the stats up to date here. Okay. Okay. No. Okay. Dog is going down. He's eating the chair. This is a problem with the pup. All right. Literally eating the chair. That's 3, 3, 2. Worthy's got 3. Hauser's got 3. All right, so that's yeah, 17 fouls for Fayetteville State. Actually, Duke. Let me make sure that Duke is what's the foul situation here for our young Blue Devils. Okay, so Roach has 4 personals. 1 for Grandison, 2, and then yeah. So we talked about like, well, Roach fouled out of like the scrimmage from Saturday, and now he comes back and he's got 4 fouls today. So are we really gonna have to worry about Roach being foul problem all season? Shane, yeah, but Keels to come back, we probably don't get Mitchell or Proctor. Yeah. So, well, Proctor might not have reclassified. Like, I guess the decision there was like, does that mean that like, does Proctor still want to come to college this year? And if he does, then like, he just doesn't. Then he reclassifies but goes somewhere else. What do you think of Young? I think he's ready to contribute as well. So Young has been pretty good, to be fair. I mean, he's got 12 points tonight. Let's go back to countdown from the other day. He had, where was Young? Ryan Young. Well, he had 4 on that side. I think it really helps. This was similar to the situation we had last year, right? Where we had it was Theo John. So Theo John comes in as a grad transfer, and he like gets to practice, or Mark Williams gets to practice against Theo John, which I think makes Mark Williams a better player. And if you bring Ryan Young in with the experience, I think you make like Lively a better player. I think you make Mark Mitchell a better player. I think you make Filipowski a better player. Like you can this team can legitimately 5v5 in practice, right? You're like at least 2 deep at every position. Like what a luxury. Like for like the first time in a long time. We might even be like 3 deep at the 4 or the 5, depending on how you classify people. Like wow, like damn. We got some extra folks here. We got Kale Catchings, the I want to say Harvard transfer. That is going to be a goaltend by Reeves, actually. Yes. And that's Crutchfield there getting 2 points there. We had Mitchell before Keels even decided, and Proctor actually would have stayed just that next year. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like I think Proctor would have not reclassified. He just continues playing basketball in Australia, assuming he still wants to come to Duke, and it plays out. Yeah. And so that's another 2 by Worthy. Honestly, the chat conversation is more enthralling than the game at the moment. more interesting than the game at the moment. Although we are back into action with 6:23 to go. Blake here, and this Grandison's actually going to take 3 from the outside, and that's just going to hit the back rim. Shoot, going to try to bring down the rebound. Does save it actually. Goes out to Catchings, and now this is nice extra pass there from Blake's over to Shoot, but back to Blake's. Blake's going to go off the dribble. Blake's going to finish with the right hand. Nice shot. He's actually had a 3-point shot. Finishes with a better one. And that 2-point shot, well done by Blake's. So Monday is game 1. Yes, Monday is game 1. We won. We ain't like Louisville. Oh man, we have had some Louisville fans. We know. Oh no, so Keon isn't a Louisville fan. He just gets trolled by Louisville fans at work. That's how it goes. Yeah. Yes, game 1 is Monday, 7 p.m. We will be back enjoying that one, and then it is Friday. It's Monday and Friday. Very odd. Like that is like days of the week you typically do not see Duke basketball being played. Yeah, so 75-38. I missed somebody. Scoring. Anyway, let's look at. I'm actually more interested in what the stats are right now, just as a whole. Like, this is 14. Balcom 3, Elliott 5, Worthy 14. James is 4, 6, and 2. Okay. Looking at the team stats here, though. Duke shooting 60% from the field. All right, we'll take it. 50% from three. Also take it. 7 of 14. That's actually pretty good. So that's an improvement from the scrimmage that they had against Houston, right, where they shot an abysmal 21% from three. The free throw shooting has been perfect so far as Grandison goes to the free throw line, and of course now that means that I've completely jinxed it. We have 29 rebounds to Fayetteville State's 27. To be fair, I'm not sure, like this was an opportunity to really up around rebound your opponent. I'm not sure I'm thrilled about that one. But Duke with the assist game. Actually, so Grandison hits both of them. So Duke has 19 assists on 27 made field goals, which if we do some quick math, 19 out of 27, that's assisting on 70% of our made buckets, which is actually really good. It's kind of a staple of how the team last year played as well, to be fair. Like, there was a ton, like, towards the end of the season, especially, there was a ton of assists going back and forth. Whether it was Keels, whether it was Roach, right? This is shoot for three. I think he got it partially blocked. No, anyway, the shot doesn't go. And it's going to be Fayetteville State's ball. Please do not overlook the Cardiac Cardinals. Any given day, they can have our number. I love that Olive Cameron still treats this like a regular game. Yeah, well, Cameron is actually partially empty, but yeah, the student section is still bouncing a little bit there. 23-point comeback, always going to be the greatest. Yeah, that one's hard to live down, especially if you're on the other side of it. I don't know how you live that down. Marcus Elliott, especially because of the like very iconic between the legs pass between RJ and Cam Reddish that like seals the deal of that run. It's like that image is just like so so poignant. The outside shot here, but so 3-point shot doesn't go here for us. Yeah, it is kind of odd to say Fayetteville State, because Fayetteville being a city in North Carolina, but anyway. And there, they do get that one to go. Hauser there. Yes, Fayetteville, North Carolina. But yes, it is technically not a state. But I suppose, you know what? We'll give it to them. Hey, they've been good sports about this whole exhibition thing, to be fair. We are under 4 timeout. Actually, Shoot bringing down a nice rebound there. And this is Catchings. Yes, very nice feed to Reeves, and Reeves will finish in transition. Duke out and running. Oh, it's an HBCU. Oh, okay, very cool. Actually, I did not know that, so I have been educated. Thank you very much. I just knew that they had won the Div 2. I didn't know the other piece about that. So that's very cool. Yep. It's the same over the. It's in the same over state though. Winston-Salem State University. Yeah, so it's just a thing. You're right. It is the same all over the state. Winston-Salem State. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Yep. And I am missing points. Why am I missing points? Let's see, individuals. Three. Elliot. Oh, Elliot has 5. Wait, no. Something's not updating. Okay, hold on. That's 2. 2, 3, 8, 16. All right. So Worthy is their leading scorer there. Like, where do we break this down for Duke? It's been actually good contributions all over the map. Yeah. All right, let me look let me look at this. So far we haven't missed a free throw, which is great. That's 9, 11, 14. So we are a perfect 14 to 14 from the free throw line, which is pretty fantastic. Jeremy Roach actually has 8 assists on the night to go with 7 points. So he's responsible for 50, let's call it 16 plus 7, 23 Duke points, basically between his own points and his assists, which is huge. And then the beneficiaries, so Grandison with 17, Mitchell with 15, Ryan Young with 12, and Jalen Blake's actually with 12. So Blake's having himself a nice game. To be honest, I don't think Blake's ever scored 12 points last season, or even got close. So that's nice to see there too. Let's turn the lights on here. There we go. It's starting to get dark here on the West Coast. Yeah, okay. Every year Duke will play an HBCU as one of their exhibition games. It's usually the winner of the MEAC or the CIAA tournament. Right. So I knew the CIAA part. I did not know the HBCU part. So very cool. So that now we have the full story. So yeah, they're like not. It's all to say like they're not random schools. Like there's a particular like these schools are the best in their like division like or in that in their what they do, right? So yeah. All right, back at the free throw line here. We got 2 minutes and 58 seconds to go. Daryl Mayers there, and he actually misses the front end of this 1-and-1. So Duke will recover as we're going to round out the game here. Duke currently 79 to 43 in this exhibition. Yeah. How much time is left? We are at 2:40 to go here in the game. Catching is going to kick this out to shoot, trying to find Reeves, but can't. And here we're going around. And then Blake's is going to jack the three. That was way off. But we end up giving that one away anyway. So actually, there's also a Duke player I'm missing here. Max Johns, number 41, is on the court for Duke as well. Daniel, welcome to the Cameron Crazies. Thank you very much for the sub. And now I know not all subs show up, so I appreciate one. If your subs do show up, I'll call them out on stream, but thank you very much. And thank you everybody for hanging out here on this afternoon as we kick off the Duke season. Marcus Elliott for Fayetteville State will get 2 more. It's a nice little crossover move that gets Max Johns planted, and he leaves him in the dust. 2 points there. Yeah, they're the best of their conference. Yeah, exactly. So, yep. But there's a big difference between like where they play and like Div 1, right? Obviously, our guys are a lot taller. Max Johns there from 3, and that one will actually go. Nicely done, Max Johns. We're kind of scrolling off the page here. Nicely done. Good contribution there. Duke 8 of 19. Worthy's going to dive in, and actually, I thought Christian Reeves put an arm in his face, but he gets away with it. Ref was right there, and he says it was a block, so count that, and this one is going to go the other way. It looks like shoot gets called for a foul. I think Reeves might have gotten away with one. Yeah, Shane, that's exactly my point. There's just like a big gap. Borden coming in, so now the walk-ons are getting some play time here in the last 1 minute and 5 seconds. The first game of the season officially, the ones that actually count towards your win-loss, is Monday at 7 o'clock. We will be back for that one. 7 o'clock Eastern, that is. Wow, that was a terrible turnover. We just threw that one away. 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. We'll be back out here. I'll take a little break from work we'll do the game, then we'll go back to work. But that's where we got it. And then Friday. So mark your calendars for Monday, mark your calendars for Friday. This is what the schedule is going to look like. For the next few games, we'll bring it right back up here. I had it on earlier, right? It's Jacksonville at 7. Then it's USC upstate. This game is actually earlier, so careful about that one. This one is a 6:30 tip-off on Friday. Very odd. I don't know who tips a game at 6:30, but sure, I guess. Like, weird. Then this one's 9:30. It's a little later for the East Coasters, but this is at a nice time for us West Coasters. Then Delaware, the Blue Hens, who I feel like we've played every so often. Like, I feel like Delaware was a team that gave us a scare a couple years ago. Bellarmine also like the Knights. For some reason I feel like we've played them before too. Then the Beavers, and then there's like this big, like there's 2 Big Ten teams here. There's Ohio State, there's Iowa, Maryland Eastern Shore. Boy, this is a gimme game in mid December. Oh boy, yee. Yeah, Wake Forest State, and then we like technically we're in conference play here in Boston College, but we really don't, get into college like conference play into earnest here until the right before Christmas time. How much time left in the game? Is under a minute left. We're just 53.7 seconds here. So we're about to wrap up. 82-45 actually. Let me actually remove Lively there for a second. Max Johns, because he's got 3. He got into the game. Okay, that didn't work. Anyway, Duke's up to 82 because Max Johns got in the game, put in a 3. Josh Playa here. I'm back. I can't wait to harass my roommate. He's the walk-on that wasn't on the roster. Nice. There you go. Well, I ran out of room. We could probably we'll probably have to like shrink the top one, and we can add some more columns next time. Yeah. But Josh Playa, thank you very much for joining us here. Even though unfortunately it doesn't look like it's going to work out for your team today. Bit of a lopsided game, but anyway, that's where we're at. All right, final 53 seconds here. What's my prediction for this year's team? Definitely a tournament team. So we will definitely make the NCAA tournament. I don't know. I think you've like realistically if John Shire made the Sweet 16 in his first year as a coach, we'd all be like, yeah, that was pretty good. I think, yeah. I mean, I think we look back on the season, and if that's the end result, you're like pretty good. Now, we may get halfway through the season and find that this team is actually clicking on all cylinders and like really freaking good. And then we'll increase our expectations, but for right now, I think there you go. I'm a huge Duke fan. I'm saying up for Duke basketball tattoo. Nicholas Jackson there. Nice. Duke's just going to hold here. I think we actually do have to put up a shot or just let the shot clock expire. But Jalen Blake's going to take it anyway. It's not going to go. And that's going to be it. Time will expire once this ball is inbounded. And that is going to be it. 82-45 going to be the official final score here for our Blue Devils. And yeah, that is going to conclude it. Anyway, that's it. So look, we got a quick stats check here on the night. We'll see how everybody did. I know folks are always interested in the numbers, so we will give you the final stats. The final stats here for our Blue Devils. Final stats here for our Blue Devils. We are going to go with the 82 points and on 30 of 53 shooting here. which comes out to 56.6%. Actually, Duke defense holding Fayetteville State down to 31.1, which is very, very respectable. So nicely done by on the defensive side of the ball here by our guys. 8 of 19 for the night from three-point range. Not bad there either. So 42%, much better than the exhibition that we played against Houston. Perfect from the free throw line, always nice to see. Winning the rebounding margin 37-31. And the other one that I really liked was the assists. Duke with 21 assists for the evening and 21 assists on 30 made buckets gives you quite a nice assist ratio of 70%. And the actual, with only 8 turnovers, 21 assists to 8 turnovers is slightly under 3-1, which is definitely not bad there either. So we'll stop that. We'll disconnect that. That'll go away because the game is over. We'll knock that down. Bass Night 5. Yes, thank you for stopping by. Your dog, Brandy, dog's name is Cameron. There you go. Broncos still better than Blue Devils. I don't revive. Well, thank you very much for joining us. And yes, Fayetteville State is my college. Well, thank you very much for joining us, man. Look, thanks for being a good sport about it, too. I know it didn't quite work out, but for your team tonight, but we appreciate everybody hanging out and having a good time. So individually here for our Duke Blue Devils, let's see. Highest point scorer, Grandison on the night. I mean, he just lit it up from 3. He started hitting all 3 of his 3-point shots. Then he missed his other ones. 3 of 6 on the night ends up. They were number 1 in their addition to the gap between D1 and D. Yeah, as we were talking about throughout the night, right? How big that gap between D1 and D2 is. Like, some things you can't teach, including height. So, yeah. Yeah, NCCU Dog 98. Thank you very much for hanging out as well. And I don't revive. Live in Durham. That's awesome. Look, I lived in Durham for like 6 years because I went to Duke twice. So, but man, that place is awesome. You guys are, for the folks that live in Durham, very lucky. It's a fun place to be. Fun place to be. Great eateries too. Just fantastic. Great eateries. Great breweries. You know. Mark Mitchell there with 15 actually did most of his damage in the first half. Honestly, I don't know if I called Mark Mitchell's name in the second half basically at all. Maybe he played a little. Yeah, he played a little bit, but sparingly. Really did all his damage there. A lot of damage in the paint too. 0 for 2 from the 3-point shot, but that's really not his game. This 5 of 8 from inside, and then 5 of 5 from the free throw line is exactly what you want to see out of Mark Mitchell. This is a very solid game from Mark Mitchell. Let's be real here. The minutes from Lively and Whitehead being out going to Mark Mitchell, and he's making the most of it, which is great to see. 7 assists from Fayetteville State and full of turnovers. Oh, yeah. Not the best, but yeah, no, to be fair, like Duke's defense was pretty good too. Like 4 steals. Let's see, turnovers 2, 4, 7, 9, 11 turnovers from Fayetteville State, 4 of which were a direct cause of the Duke steals. So a couple unforced errors. And then Roach, he had this 2 of 6, 6 of 9. Ryan Young also having a pretty good game. Like 5 of 6. It's like super high percentage. Like, remember when Mark Williams used to was shooting over 70% from the field? Like, I'd expect Ryan Young to have like probably a similar type percentage because all his shots should come like right at the rim. Although he wasn't dunking as much as Mark Williams, that's for sure. So, yeah. They lost amount of their key players from last year's run. Yeah, the player turnover, you can imagine, is definitely also a thing. Other schools have player turnover just like Duke does too. So, oh, what is he? Oh, all right. I'm gonna have to start paying attention to my pup here, who I have neglected for the past 2 hours, even though he made an appearance on stream. Although again, I think the Jeremy Roach, like the stat line for Jeremy Roach, the 7 points, like not the craziest about that, but like the 8 assists, I am really crazy about. Like that's solid. So if Jeremy Roach always had a stat line of like 9 points and like 8 assists, or like 8, 9 assists, I would be totally okay with that. If you got double figures in assists and you were only single figures in points, fine. As long as you're not also double figures in turnovers. But here is 8-1. He's only one turnover with 8 assists, so I think that works out. So, um, yeah, and I think all in all, I think that kind of wraps it up. Blake's surprisingly a good game. It'd be interesting to see if he can, one, keep the minutes. He played 28 minutes tonight, did Jalen Blake's, and two, keep the points up too. Be interesting to see what his growth was from last year to this year, because last year he like really didn't really have any real playtime outside of maybe some like garbage time games kind of thing. So anyway, I think our Blue Devils are going to be pretty good. Like it's the number one recruiting class. It's a bunch of freshmen. If Coach K were here, if Coach K were still coaching Duke, the storyline would be Coach K has top recruiting class. Like anything short of a championship is a failure. Like that's what people would be writing. Just like they were writing like stuff like last year, even though the recruiting class I don't think was technically number one. But like that's literally what people would be writing about. Now, because it's John Shire, I think we give him a bit more slack. So I mean, we have to see what this team looks like with Whitehead and Lively back in full swing. In any case, yes, as you can hear, my dog is yapping at me from right behind my chair as he proceeds to eat it. So I think I'm going to have to sign off for the night. It's 82-45. That's going to be it for our Blue Devils. Please hit that sub button, hit the like, hit the sub. For all those that sub tonight, these are the people that we know sub tonight. Not all the alerts come in. Zach Whitmer, Ricky Johnson, Mikhail Phi 1, Jeremiah Watson, Darren Spencer, Ertaqueg, Joe Becht, if I pronounced that correctly, Swagger Jacker, and Daniel. Thank you very much for the subs tonight. Much appreciated. We will see everybody on Monday for the game. Hey,